All right, this video is going to be a little different because we're not doing anything with trucks. We're not doing anything with cars. But we are, well, I guess we are doing something. We're taking the Ford with the car trailer. We're going to go buy a tractor. Tractor I don't need. A tractor I don't even want. But I'm going to buy it anyway because it comes with stuff that I do want. So we're going to jump on the highway. We're going to run down and we are going to go buy a tractor. And then I'll explain everything later. And we'll see if we can get this old tractor running. Bought a tractor. I don't know if you can see it back there, but it's a Ford. Yep, we bought a Ford, and it's a turd, but it's pretty cool. All right, it's getting dark quick, but here is the sweetness. It is a late 60s Ford LGT, I think 145. I don't know, the hood is in back of the truck. But she is, she's rusty. It doesn't run. Here's where the carb would be. Obviously, it's not gonna run without a carb. And now I'm not gonna be able to get this back in. But, there it is. It does turn over. And you can hear some compression. So that's good. So this is a 14 horsepower cast iron Kohler K series. And really, that's what I wanted out of this. Paid 200 bucks for this turd. I was kind of hoping it'd be better shape, but you know, it is what it is. But the real reason I wanted it is in here. 2 more 14 horsepower Kohler K series. And the reason I wanted these is because my old 76 Power King, she blew up. Pretty sure it's got a bent crank. And I have not been able to find a 12, 14, or 16 is what I was looking for anywhere around here for a reasonable price. And I just got 3 of them for 200 bucks with a tractor. And these all do spin. So, guy said he doesn't know history on them or anything, but oh, now she's got compression. So, hopefully, at least one of these is either good or rebuildable. And because the one in my Power King, I am 99% sure is not rebuildable. We'll go through that later. But I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. First, I think we're just going to try to get all 3 of these motors running and see what happens. But yeah, I did not need a crappy Ford tractor, but now I own one. It's kind of cool. So when we drug it on, the rear end was locked up. So I thought I was going to have to drag it the whole way down. I was not, I played with a whole bunch of the levers, but to try to figure out where the hydro release was.
Yeah, I could after the froze a break, but it was too late.
Apparently, one of the levers did move, and the hydros did release.
Well,
at least the front tires are flat, and it stopped there.
Yeah.
I was worried it was going to rear end me.
I was thinking the same thing.
That's why I stopped there, because I'm like, I don't really know what to do. Especially since that thing is a rear engine. A little Ford. Go through it.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, I have all my spoils. in the garage. And that Gravely you saw there, that's not the tractor that needs a motor, although it does use a 12 horse version of this exact same motor. So these could also be spares for that thing and a slight upgrade. But it's my old Power King that needs a motor. I bought that Gravely when the Power King died because I found that thing for a great deal. And I've been mowing with that thing, and it's useful, but that Power King is a lot more tractor than that Gravely is. Gravely's a great mower. The Power King's more of a tractor. So I want to see which of these three runs, and then runs the best if I have multiple runners. And then I just want to throw it in the Power King and we'll get it working. This one, it looks like somebody really tried to take care of it. I don't know what happened. It's missing a carb, but they covered it up. The governor and everything's free, so that's nice. Over here, they tried to cover the exhaust. Well, they did cover the exhaust, and they actually covered the dipstick. It's been a long time, but that's some forethought there. So I'm hopeful that this was a good motor. Let's see if she's got any fuel in it. And no, there's liquid in there, but can't tell. Ooh, it's water. It's frozen. See the ice? All right. Yeah, it's cold here in North Carolina right now. Kind of sucks. These, on the other hand, I've been spraying them down with penetrating lube. Either that carb or governor stuck, I'm not sure. This one was a little stuck. I got it freed up. So that's a good sign, but I don't know if any of that's going to work. These electric clutches are the same thing my Power King uses, which is nice, but all three motors spin over pretty nicely. So these have had penetrating lube. That's missing a carb, and because of that, Amazon to the rescue. Bought a very cheap carb kit for one of these things. So this comes with fuel filters. It comes with a new fuel pump, because I assume that's probably not going to work. And then a brand new carb, bunch of fittings and crap. But my plan is I'll put this same carb on all three just to figure out which one works. But I think we're going to start with this thing. I need to figure out a fuel source because that tank isn't going to work. I've got a can. We'll figure it out, but let's see if we can get this one to run. All right, making some progress here. This thing didn't actually have a fuel pump on it. It has a fuel pump block-off plate, and I didn't really feel like messing with it. When I was looking for hose, I forgot I had this nice little Holley carburetor pump from back when the Ford had a 302 in it. So I've got that run into a can up to my new carburetor. This governor adjustment on this thing was, the governor wasn't adjusted right, and the throttle was basically set up that this thing had no throttle throw. I still don't know why I don't have any return to idle, but I do actually have full travel. It just doesn't return, which is weird. We'll see what it does when we fire it up. I'm not worried about choke because I can manually choke it right here. So, and I got a battery set up there. I was going to change the spark plug because this little Amazon kit came with a spark plug, and I thought, can't hurt. Turns out it would hurt. I don't know what this plug is for, but it's not for this motor. So we're going to put the old plug back in, which honestly, I've seen a lot worse. So we'll put this back in. We'll power this thing up. That'll put fuel to it. We'll see if the key works. I don't know. I'm currently hooked up on the battery power. If that doesn't, we'll just hotwire it. I'm also thinking I might have to clean the points. But we'll put this back in. We'll see if we get this thing to fire. Oh, and I have a jack under it because I have no idea if that rear end is in gear. Seems like it's in A gear because it won't go backwards, but it'll roll forwards. I want to find out the hard way. All right, I got the plug out. I'm going to spin it over. Spins pretty nice. It feels like it's got good compression. Plug is totally dry though. So I don't think we're getting any fuel in there for some reason. I'm not sure why. We've got fuel up here. Might just put some brake clean right in the cylinder and see what we get out of this. But yeah, clean the spark plug, wire up. It still doesn't look great. But we'll, oh, you know what? Let's check for spark. All right, so we got no spark. I guess we'll check, see if we got power to the coil, but it might just be the points need to be set. Okay, we got power to the coil, and I pulled the points cover off, and hey, look at those things. Very, very gross. So I'm gonna clean those up with some sandpaper, and we'll make sure to see their opening, and we'll try it again. Well, I've put some gas in, straight in the plug. I cleaned up the spark plug wire. I checked the resistance. Everything seems okay. Let me put my battery back on. See what she does. Starter doesn't seem great. Okay, so I came over here because I was like, maybe these cables just suck. But I'm gonna jump this straight onto the starter. Watch the oil. Watch the dipstick. That's a unique feature. It seems to be building a ton of crankcase pressure for some reason. So I'm confused because I can feel it has good compression. You can hear that it has good compression. Unless maybe the exhaust valve's not opening. Because for some reason, it's putting a ton of crankcase pressure in. I mean, that thing shoots out instantly. Let me think about this. Well, we've got a factory service manual for these Kohlers, and I've been digging through it, trying to figure out what's going on here. I just lashed up the valves. They were a little out, but they weren't bad. But these things have an automatic compression release, which I didn't realize. It's kind of cool. But underneath, there's some springs that basically open the exhaust valve a little bit on compression below 600 RPM. And according to the wonderful service manual, the only thing you do is to make sure the exhaust valve is opening a little bit. That thing just kicked on a turbo. And I don't see that, and I think that's why it's cranking so slow. I'm not gonna totally give up on this one. It could just be a bad starter, but I'm gonna jump over to these and see what we can get out of these. All right, I got the carb on here, got the fuel pump wired up. It's got oil in it. I feel like this one's gonna get wild because it's not bolted down. So we'll see. There goes the fuel pump. It's choked right now. All right. Okay. That one spins over nicely, but the PTO clutch is flinging around like crazy. I guess. Try that. All right, it spins nice. I guess we'll check ignition now and see what we got. Okay, well, it's bad points on this one because look at that. And also notice it's just stuck. It has no spring to it. So yeah, I checked, we got power. We weren't getting any ground on that side. And yeah, these are garbage. Could steal those because those are actually pretty nice. Throw them on here. We'll try this thing again. All right, points are swapped. Fuel pump's not hooked up, but I don't think it matters because the bowl should be full. And I'm not gonna run it that long anyway. Let's see if it fires. No fire, but I can see the points are working. So let's come up here. Let's make sure all this stuff works. Cleaned it up earlier, but that doesn't mean it actually works. Ooh, that looks pretty gross. Okay, so this one has a totally stuck exhaust valve. I actually broke the retainer a little bit trying to free it up. So this one is not going to run. The head's got to come off, and I'm guessing it's the exhaust valve. So I'm guessing it's because they had this open, got some moisture in there, hung that valve up. So this head's going to have to come off. I still think that one's probably rebuildable. Going to need a valve, going to need parts. But we're going to move to motor number 3 because I only need one of them. And this one is a little bit different because see how it's got this weird coil instead of this kind of old school round coil. This is a breakerless ignition, so there's no points down here. This one has points, and so does this one. They only made these for like 10 years or something, according to the internet. They had points, then they went to this, and they went back to points. So, thankfully, the mounts are still here. So there's the screw holes for the points, and then I guess there's a little plug in here that I'm gonna need to pop out to get this little push rod out and put it in here. So we're gonna convert this to points. So we're gonna take the coil, the plug, and the points off of this one, put it on this one, and see if we can get this guy to run. I don't know, I thought this engine was was a little more crusty than this one, but it does have an exhaust pipe. So, and this one also had this extension on the carb, and they had blocked it off. So maybe this one's the one. If not, we'll just tear them down, and we can definitely make one good running one out of all 3, if not 2. So let me get all the ignition off this one on here. Try to fire that guy up. It's got fuel. See if it goes. Hey, it runs. It did something. All right, well, the lovely GoPro cut off right there. So that was pretty much all I got out of it, but it sounds like it has a knock. And just digging in here, so this breakerless ignition has a pickup on the flywheel, and it's hitting the flywheel in one spot. So I'm gonna see if I can get up in there and just get it out of the way. And then we'll fire this thing up again, because hopefully this is the one gonna be the good one. Hey, that sounds better. It's not hitting anything. It's also sketchy because it was like trying to jump off this cart. So I'm not a huge fan of that. Need to remember where my ignition wire is to rip it out. Got a governor on it. We'll just see what happens. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna disconnect the fuel pump. Because that way, it can't totally run away. It'll run bowl dry. Really, I just want to hear it run a little bit. We get a little bit of starter fluid. It's probably too much for a single cylinder, but starter's not the happiest. So that one runs good enough that I'm willing to use it. I ordered a whole bunch of parts for it. I got a whole new ignition because I think that's why I couldn't get it running again. I got gaskets just in case. So that one should be good to go. I got that carburetor, and I have another one just in case. And I've been pushing to get this thing done because we have the snow ice storm of the century coming. We live in North Carolina. And they were saying like 2 foot of snow initially. So I was like, sweet, 4 foot snowblower. Now they're saying it might be snow, it might be ice. So I have a 4 foot snowblower here. Thing works great from when we lived in Michigan. I have a 4 foot front mount snowplow. And if I need to, I have a back grader blade, I have a rake, I have all sorts of stuff that goes on this 1976 Power King. And this is a Power King 1614. The 16 is 16-inch rear wheels. The 14 is 14 horsepower Kohler. Now, pretty sure this is actually a 16 horse Kohler. Somebody swapped it in. I don't really know anything about it, but we were mowing with it over the summer and it started to sound really bad and shake really bad. And it's been down on power for about 2 years. And I'll put a little clip in here of the front PTO. And yeah, that PTO definitely looks like the crank's bent. And when it was hot, it was knocking. So this thing, I'm pretty sure, is going to need a crank. And being as it's a K341 with a 16 horse, they're pretty rare. And I don't know if I need a 16 when it had a 14 from factory, hence 3 14 horse Kohlers. But when I blew it up in the meantime, I bought this old Gravely. And this thing is, this thing's pretty sweet. It's a great little mower, but it doesn't have the rear hitch. So this has a hydraulic hitch on the back that I converted to a sleeve hitch so I can run all my implements. So I'm gonna try to get this thing knocked out. And yeah, then if we get snow or anything crazy, I can use this thing to handle it. I even have tire chains somewhere. And these tires are loaded too. They're nice and heavy. So rip this little Kohler out, throw that one in, and hopefully get this old girl doing some work again. But one little shop full of all sorts of old tractors. I like old tractors almost as much as I like old trucks. Probably saw I struggled with it about the end, and it is this clutch adapter that has 2 set screws and the one was stripped out. But these Power Kings are really cool. So single cylinder Kohler, just like we've been messing with. But they run this kind of bell housing trans adapter. And then back here is a 3-speed non-synchro trans, and it's the same one used in the old Crosley cars. So I can actually use a trans out of a Crosley car. Like, it's a legit transmission, and it runs in this housing here. You can kind of see, let me get a light. It runs an actual 3-finger clutch. It's a car transmission. So these things are super stout, super robust. Yeah, I blew that one up, but this thing is in way worse shape than I thought. I've had the thing for about 12 years. I've done everything with it. Honestly, never even changed the oil, just top it off because it burned it. Might be part of the reason why it blew up, but so here is one of the basically front body mounts, and that is 1/4-inch thick steel. There's the other one, because it is broke off on the body down there. So that's cracked off. The whole front grille was cracked and split. I'm gonna have to spend some time welding it back together. But other than that, I mean, this thing always shook, which I kind of think this thing always had a little bit of a bent crank or something. But it drove in here. So, hey, can't fault it. So that's out. I'm gonna grab that one and start to set it in here, and then we'll figure out what we need to swap, because I think we're gonna need that flywheel for this little stub out here for the clutch. We'll figure out tins and stuff. I have that carb, I have the other cheap carb I bought, we'll figure it out. But for now, we're gonna get that one rolled over here and shoved in and see what happens. All right, I know it's a bit of a jump forward, but I've been working on this thing. And new motor's in. I got my new ignition system on. That new carb I bought's on there. Fuel filter, everything. I even fixed my fuel leak, which was a cracked fuel tank. I did swap over all my tins because this is a low mount starter and all those engines were high mounts. And I swapped my flywheel and all that. And it all looks so much better, except I realized this probably is supposed to be a high mount motor because it would mount up here instead of down here. You can see it's on the tins. So I can swap that over later. But fresh oil, it runs great. Got the snowplow on because, let that focus. Yeah, we got ice and sleet and crap. So I got the rear tires chained up. That's the battery for this. That's a ballast battery. I might add more. This stuff is really like, it's softening a little bit now, but it's getting pretty bad. So the rear tires are weighted on this. We'll go see how it plows. I might have to throw the rear rake on it to help churn this up. But yeah, let me fire it up. It runs great. I'm super happy with this thing.
And I got all my body mounts fixed, so it won't fall apart. But let's go see if this thing will push some snow.
For reference of how hard packed this snow is, these are the tracks from the tractor. That thing weighs about 1,500 pounds with all the ballast on it and everything, and it didn't even sink in. I mean, it is so hard packed. And if you look, it's not that it's just that shallow. It's that deep. And the tractor didn't even sink, so that's what I was trying to plow through it. Man, that was one heck of a test for this thing. That snow is so heavy and so wet. It's more sleet and rain and ice than it is even really snow. But man, this thing did awesome. That motor, that was worth $200. And now I got another tractor and a couple other motors. But man, it feels good to have this thing back. It is a beast. You saw it out there. It's tripping the blade. It doesn't care. It just eats through it. It took me a while to remember how to get the linkage set up to get the right down pressure and the right lift, because honestly, I've been running that snowblower in Michigan for years, but I knew this stuff was never going to blow. It's so hard packed. It's ice. And honestly, North Carolina, I usually don't mess with it, but it's supposed to be like a week and a half below zero or below freezing. So I really had to get it cleared out. I'm going to have to do some grading, which I have a back grader blade for this thing, but man, I am pumped to have this thing back.